Hey, Negan.
Hey, Burt, how you doing?
Good. Welcome to the
Yeah,
DZPD weekly build show, season 3, week 3. I
that is
am
correct.
gamertag Burt Reynolds, and you are gamertag
Negan
Negan
Killjoy.
Killjoy, the
Yes, Negan
golden
Killjoy.
voice of gaming. Did you see the stream title tonight?
What do we call it tonight? Let me double check. I hadn't looked at it yet. National
This week,
Negan
ladies and
Appreciation Week. Okay, all
this
right.
week, ladies and gentlemen, is National Negan Appreciation Week. So we're gonna
I'm a
talk a little
little
bit here
nervous
about
now.
that. Well, no, I was just gonna call out that Negan puts in a lot of work on this show. Um, we've been gaming together. I forget who we were talking to the other night. We were talking about, how long have we been gaming together, and we got our start gaming together in the Division One
Yeah, we did.
around the end of. Now they call it TUs, right? Like now we're in title update 8, but back then it was like 1 point something, 1.2. We started playing together at the end of 1.2 and the start of 1.3. And there's been a lot of talk about 1.3 and the Division 1 because the current state of this game feels a lot like 1.3 felt to Division 1. Like
Yeah,
super hard enemies, you get wrecked from all angles. It feels very punishing and at times not fun or not fair. And so there's been a lot of talk about that, and then a lot of thinking about, man, we have gamed together a long time, and
we have been through quite
we've
a few games too.
yeah, through just about every popular loot shooter other than Anthem that's out, and then we do this show every week, which we haven't done. We've done this maybe about a year, probably about a year. But you put in a lot of work, right? Because you do our titles and our edits, and
Hmm.
um, now you're working on getting us hosted some other places than just YouTube, and I appreciate you, man. I appreciate what you do. Um, appreciate being with you. I consider
Well,
you one of my closest imaginary friends,
well,
if not
well,
my closest imaginary friend.
well, thank you, and we've met in real life too. So there is
We
there is
have
that
met.
aspect. So
You're
so we
not
know
that
we're not,
imaginary.
yeah, we're not full on imaginary. But thank you. I appreciate you appreciating me. It's been fun gaming with you as well. I blame you for getting me into Destiny 2 and being punished by that for a while. So there's
And
that.
Borderlands. I think I got you in
And
Borderlands
you did. You got me into Borderlands too. But Borderlands, see, and we can talk about it. We've talked about it before. But Borderlands isn't punishing for the most part.
Borderlands
There
is a fun game. It's a fun
Yeah,
game.
there's
I love
there's
that
hard
game.
there's hard content, and some of it can be a little bit struggly, but for the most part, Borderlands isn't punishing. Borderlands is a fun game. It's got a personality of all on its own, the whole
Yep.
thing. So I can't, I'm not going to blame you for getting me into Borderlands. D2 I will, and it's nice to be able to have gone through Div 1 and all the growing pains there, and now Div 2 as well, and doing the show with you.
Yep.
So yes, thank you for appreciating
Yep.
me. I too, I'm enjoying it. So
Yeah. Well, next week we might even broadcast some Borderlands because the content update for Borderlands 3, the next
oh
like
yes,
story
the DLC.
content, the DLC comes out next week.
That's right.
And I'm pretty pumped about that. I think it'll be really fun. That'll mean more weapons, more shields, more builds,
Yeah, what is it?
all of that.
Something love and tentacles or something like that is what it's called.
Yeah, Guns, Love, and Tentacles, I think is what it's
That
called.
yes, that's right.
Um,
I'm actually
yeah,
looking forward to that too.
I think it'll be a fun one. I think it'll have good story content, and I think it'll be a good time. And I'm guessing an update for this will be forthcoming at some point to fix some of what's broken here. But it could be a while. Might be a minute.
Yeah,
So
they got
I
a lot
think
of things they're looking at for this one.
yeah. I honestly, I wish they would have done a PTS server. Even if like without the content, they didn't have to show any of the content. I feel like they should have done a PTS server for just like the changes they were going to make to the scaling and the guns and everything else. But we're suffering through it and we're doing okay.
Yep.
I think we've all agreed that we can handle challenging content with the occasional jump to heroic, depending on what it is. But we're not ready for prime time in all heroic content yet. But
Yeah,
we're
we
working towards it.
we had that clarified rather brutally for us a couple nights ago that we weren't quite ready for heroic across the board.
And I don't really want to talk about that evening. It was not good. It was not our finer moment, not my finer moment. I may have almost rage quit and might have said some things I shouldn't have said. And
we can leave it at it. It was a brutal lesson that we are not geared appropriately for all heroic content. We'll just leave it at that. That was a
correct.
That was a lesson.
Correct.
So
correct. Yes. But on to other things. Obviously, the other part of the show, aside from talking about the game, is discussing or reviewing a beer of choice.
Yeah, baby.
I'm drinking limoncello LaCroix tonight. My favorite. This is my favorite LaCroix.
Do you like limoncello the liqueur as well? You had that before?
I haven't. I can't honestly say I have. But limoncello LaCroix.
The way you answer is like, oh my god, why would you even think about liking that stuff? Okay, so you haven't had it before. You should try it one day. If you like limoncello LaCroix, you should try it. It's pretty good.
I'll have to try that. I didn't even know there was such a thing. I'm naive on the liqueurs and liquors. I'm basically a beer guy. On the beer front tonight, I am drinking Goose Island Beer Company's hazy IPA called Lost Palate. Lost Palate. I'm torturing myself with another hazy IPA. This one, though, has mango and cinnamon.
Mango and cinnamon.
Hazy IPA with mango and cinnamon. I was like, that sounds interesting. Now, I'm going to say this. It had better be good because it only came in a 24-pack, and I wanted to try it.
Wow, you committed.
And I don't drink a lot of beer. I don't drink a lot, period. So a 24-pack of beer might last me the next 6 months. So here's hoping this is good, because I'm going to be drinking it for a while.
Yeah. No pressure on Goose Island right now. No pressure on them at all.
No pressure on them. So what are you drinking tonight, Negan? What did you go out and pick up?
Tonight I went out and picked up. Actually, it's a brewery out of Oregon. It's called 10 Barrel Brewing Company. It's out of Oregon. But I picked up. I'm kind of doing the same thing you are. I'm trying new things. It's a pale ale, is what it is. It's described as ready for the perfect pale ale, and it's called Trail Beer, and it's described as refreshingly bright body layered with nuances of fresh cut oranges and pine needles. So I have a feeling it's probably going to
be a little IPA-ish. Yeah, a little IPA-ish there. Yeah.
But I've been reading.
Pine needles.
Been doing some research. Yeah, pine needles always indicate some sort of IPA flavor to it. But I've been doing some research, and I like golden ales and stuff like that. And I just, almost spilled this everywhere. Nice.
That would be a party foul, Negan.
That would be hard.
Do that. I
don't want to do that. Apparently, our beer fridge is nice and cold because this came out nice and cold. Get in there. Here we go. All right. So I'm not a savage. I'm not drinking out of the can, but I'm making a big old mess. My cats. All right. So yes, that's what
you're
I'm
pouring.
Doing
See, I'm drinking mine out of a can. My what does Beer Advocate say about yours? Mine has a score of 86. Very good.
I didn't even look this one up yet. I'm guessing it's probably 80s.
Yeah, this is
good. I guess.
Yeah, I'm 86. That's not too bad. I mean.
Yeah, no. What I was saying about my experiments. Not 100. It's not 100. It's true. No, what I was saying about my experiments is because I like cultures and stuff, as we've talked about before, and I've gotten a bunch of those. But people have said pale ales are similar to cultures to some extent.
I genuinely, one of my favorite beers of all time is Sierra Nevada's Pale Ale. I love their regular old Sierra Nevada Pale Ale. And so anything like that, it's probably good.
Yep. And it's got an 85 rating according to Beer Advocate. 85.
Ha! Mine wins.
Yours has a better score. But we'll see. We'll see how this all works out for us. I'm a big loser tonight. Exactly. So much for Appreciation Week. We're done. We're done with that.
No, I still appreciate you. You have bad choice in beer. That's all I'm saying. I'm just kidding. I'm kidding.
All right.
I'm sure.
On that note, cyber cheers to you, my friend. First drink. Cyber cheers.
Cheers. So we are going to take a look at a build tonight, real quick. So now I have a whole bunch of builds built, but none of them are really. Again, I would say like they're like 90-95% optimized, maybe not even. Because if you really look at it, what you're looking at is, ideally speaking, your pieces are going to have more than one. You can see these little orange, like kind of shader bars underneath things, like here, which means two of the stats on here are maxed out. And I think a fully optimized build at this point means that all three of those stats in each category are going to be maxed out, which means you need to get god rolls of everything, which could take years, if I'm honest. Years.
Could take a fair bit, but it can happen. It can happen.
It can happen.
Now God
I
rolls
have
out there.
several. I have several of them. It just the chances you're going to get the piece you want for the build you want with a god roll is pretty slim, especially when you get to the chest piece and the backpack, right? Like, or an exotic. Having an exotic drop with good rolls on it is going to be slim to none. But
right,
you never know, right? So, and then it's same thing with the guns. So, taking a look at what I'm going to throw up here tonight, this is an LMG build, and LMG and assault rifle build, right? And I've based this. This is kind of built around solo play. We play together a lot as a group, but a lot of times when I'm just farming, I'm farming a lot by myself, right? So these West Coast guys are on Negan's West Coast. I'm Midwest. They get on we usually get on about 10:30 at night. I have kids that are awake till then, so I don't usually group up with anyone before that, but it's not to say I'm not playing. So I might be able to get online by like 8:30, 9 o'clock, and I run solo for about an hour and a half. I need a build for when I'm rolling solo. So that's what this build is for me. And I know there's a lot of people who play the Division 2 solo, and so this is just, my thoughts on what a good, decent, going back to kind of the roots of this whole thing. We were trying to put builds together for the average person. This is that. So we'll talk a little bit about that.
So not horrible farming time spent into this. Not hours and hours and hours and days and days and days on this one. This is a good middle of the road kind of farming time frame for you.
Yeah, I mean, there's some work's going to have to get put in this. That's just the state of the game right now, right? You're not going to put a decent build together in under probably 3 or 4 days of good. I would say this, like, to put this build together, you're going to need a solid 8 or 9 hours of farming. The exotic's going to come from having enough time into the seasonal rank, so that's where I got that. But you could have a different mask in there. You don't have to have that. Before that, I forget what I had in that slot, but I had a different mask up there, and you could have something else in there. I think I actually had this Providence mask in there, so you could do that, right? But yeah, I mean, the ideal here is no build that you're going to put together today isn't going to take some time. It's not easy button like it used to be. I think you could speak to that, Negan, probably as well, right? Like, it takes a while to get the loot.
It does take a while to get the loot, but the nice thing is, again, the loot that you find, you can tell pretty quickly how bad or how good it is. So the farming portion of it is definitely, the quality of life is definitely improved as far as that goes.
Yes, and
So
you could, with the exception of the mask and the chest. Now, mask, chest, and gloves. These 3 pieces you cannot craft. But you could craft this, you could craft this, and you could craft this. So there's that. In fact, I might have crafted several of these pieces, actually, because I do a lot of crafting.
You're always broke. Always materials broke.
I'm always but crafting is honestly a pretty good way to go. Like, I've filled my recal library with a lot of the max stats just by sitting crafting chest pieces till I get a 15% damage roll on one of them, then put it in the recal library. Sit and craft chest pieces till I get 170,000 armor roll and then put it in you know what I mean? So if you're willing to farm for the materials, then you can just sit and craft a bunch of cool stuff. Then, maybe you get a decent amount of stuff. You're still going to have to farm the heck out of the materials, though, right? Like, my strategy there is I went and took the solar farm. I went and took all of those control points in that zone.
Right.
And since the control points don't currently reset, I could basically every day the first thing I do when I log on is just go farm all the materials out of that whole section
Oh yeah,
and
no, solar farm's a
restock,
good one.
and then I go craft a bunch of stuff, right? So a nice little strat. So I'm going to talk about the build, and then maybe we can go play with it a little bit, or at least go test it on our favorite crash test dummies right below the boo here. So the gun I've got going, I'm running a G36C with Ranger for distance. I rolled assault rifle damage onto it. It's got medium health damage rolling, but it had 10% headshot damage. I like this gun. I really like the G36. They tuned the G36 up real nice this time around. I feel like it's a perfect middle of the road gun, good all around gun. It's very stable. And I think you've been running G36 as well, right?
I have.
Some?
Yeah, I've been running back and forth. I've run the Mark 16 on occasion, but lately I've been running the G36 a little bit more. I took your advice and went with the one that had a little faster fire rate to it.
Mm-hmm. Especially when you're tanking heavies, taking on any of the heavies or the dogs, rate of fire is a huge factor in being able to break their armor. I love the slower firing guns like the AK-47 or the Mark 16, but they have a really hard time breaking armor. They're great for red bars, purple bars. They're great for just enemies, but if they have armor, like plate armor on them, they're hard to take down with slower firing guns.
Agreed.
And then I have an LMG here. It's a Mark 249 Bravo. It has, I can roll. I mean, these are the rolls that came on it. So it has 15% LMG damage, 9% damage out of cover, and 10% crit hit damage. I can eventually, just didn't spend the money, but I think I have a 12% damage out of cover, which would max that out. And it has Frenzy on it, which Frenzy got nerfed. Frenzy was like the best in slot LMG talent when the game came out. Then it got nerfed into the dirt. And now it's actually okay again. So for every 10 bullets in the magazine, capacity gain 3% rate of fire, 3% weapon damage for 5 seconds when reloading from empty. The gun fires really fast for a little bit with a ton of extra damage. Is it better than on Unhinged? Probably not, but it's close and it's more fun. I'm enjoying it. Just something different. I have a bunch of them. I have a bunch of LMGs with Unhinged. If I wanted to run them, I could. I have a couple Mark 46s. I've got a couple in the Gavs, which are really good. I've got this black market RPK. So I've got a whole bunch of options there, but I'm running Frenzy because it's fun. Sidearm, I've got a backup boomstick, which is a name gun, 60% shotgun damage. I rolled close and personal on it. If you're not using a shotgun in somebody's face, you're doing it wrong. I'm just going to say
that. Absolutely true.
I've got this mask, which is Coyote's mask. You get this, you're supposed to get this at level 35 in your seasonal rank. Not everybody's getting it for whatever reason. Massive says they're going to look into it and try and fix it. I got mine, so cool. I mean, good for me, I guess. This is a buff for your whole team. This is why I'm wearing it. It gives critical hit damage for short-range shots, some crit damage and crit chance for mid-range shots, and crit chance for long-range shots. I use this in a lot of builds because when we group up, it buffs the whole group. Backpack. I'm running 3 pieces of Badger Tough. Badger Tough gives you shotgun damage. I'm not running a shotgun other than my sidearm. But the third stat here is really what it's all about. I'm getting total armor and armor on kill. So when I'm running solo, that armor on kill is nice to have. Particular one has vigilance, which increases your total weapon damage when you're not taking damage. Which I actually find that buff's actually up quite a bit. How have you felt about it, Negan? Like when I'm looking at damage buffs, that one feels like it's up a lot.
I have found that it's up quite a bit as well. And I'm running the build I'm running nowadays recently has been the glass cannon kind of build, the vigilance and stuff like that. So I found that it does do some work. It's out there for you. So, and as you noticed over the last couple of nights, I've been running in front of everybody. So it's been
Playing a different role.
thing, a little different role.
Okay. I mean, when I read the talent. When I read this talent, right, increases total weapon damage by 25%, taking damage disables this buff for 4 seconds. That sounded to me, every time I read that, I was like, oh crap, like that's never going to be up. I'm always taking damage.
Right.
But it's actually not
Does
true. It's not true.
yeah.
I mean,
And
a lot of it comes back. Like if they miss a shot, and 4 seconds is not long.
right, and it doesn't stack, so it's not like every time you get hit, you like 4, 8, 12, 16. It's just 4 seconds for your
Right.
first bit of damage, and you go and cover real fast. You come back up, and you got the buff
You
back.
got it back. Yep.
So that's kind of nice because I read the same thing. I thought it would stack. So every time you took damage, every bullet that hit you, every round that hit you, it would reset the 4 second bump. But no, it's only the first one. So that's why it's so strong. That's why I think it
Yeah.
has its advantage.
It is, and it I like that about it. So then I've got the this 0F's Badger Tough chest piece, which has perfectly unbreakable. Repairs 100% of your armor when your armor breaks, which is fun. I could, depending on the group I'm running with, I can run the tardigrade armor instead, which acts a lot the same, but it also does that for the whole group.
Yeah, it does.
And then I can
That
run.
the tardigrade is
I
really good in a group. In case anybody's curious, if they're chasing any exotic,
oh,
tardigrade is really helpful in a group.
it's super strong. And then I just run a Badger Tough mask up top, so I can swap those two exotics out for each other. Basically, I'm running the mask because Horchata, our friend Horchata, who we usually play with, he was running the armor. So you can't stack the armor. It's not worth it to stack it. So might as well run the mask while he runs the armor, and then the whole group gets a good buff, right? So I'm running the 0Fs, which when I'm running with somebody who has tardigrade armor on is amazing because it's basically like I'm indestructible. I can just run around and stand out in the open, and I'll never die. It's kind of cool.
Oh, so that procs the tardigrade procs an unbreakable mode for you, and then you have the perfectly unbreakable in the cylinder for you as well. So you get two unbreakable modes.
Correct. Yes, I
Oh.
basically it's kind of broken, if I'm honest.
So you have two oh shit moments that you can get away with.
I do. And
Nice.
the thing is, there's very limited good chess piece talents, right? Like if you want a little extra damage, you can run a turret and run spark, right? Anytime your turret's doing damage, you're going to get a 15% damage buff.
Mm-hmm.
But you got to understand that weapon damage, like all weapon damage buffs, so I'm already getting 25% from the backpack, right? And I've got, in this particular build, one piece of armor that has armor rolled on it. So I'm getting 15%, 15%, 15%, 15%, and 15%. Putting another 15%, it's just additive. That's not multiplicative, right? It's just additive in the damage.
Mm-hmm. Right.
So when you think about the calculation, it's not actually a lot. Like in this particular case, if I were to put on a chest piece with Spark, and the turret started doing damage, you see my primary damage there is 97k. That might jump to like 97.3. That's not a huge buff, right?
Right.
So
Not at all.
when you're already stacked for damage, stacking another 15% is not a lot. And so there's limited amount of talents that are really worth running here. Now, Spotter, which of course is 15%, if you've got the mask that has, what is it, the Night Watcher that has the skill haste, that one feels kind of powerful just because the pulse is nice to have for the group, right? Like, so you might as well get something out of it. If you're going to run the pulse, you might as well get some damage out of it. But I feel like Unbreakable is strong because it gives you more survivability. Some of these group buff ones, like when I'm running a rifle build, Overwatch, that's strong. But this is probably, if you're looking for a damage talent on the chest, this is where it's at right here. Obliterate. Critical hits. It's critical hit based damage. That one's good because you're probably built into crit, and crit's so strong right now. But some of the other utility talents here are really, really strong. Mad Bomber is fun. Overwatch is fun. Unbreakable is fun. Because the more time you're not on the ground, the more damage you're doing. And or the bigger your grenade radius is, the more fun you're having. So playing around a little bit with that. Then I've got my LMG damage gloves, which are the contractor's gloves, and these are really strong because they always come rolled with an 11% damage to armor, which is multiplicative. That's not additive damage. That's another category of damage, so it's multiplicative. And it's very strong. These gloves are very strong. You can get these by farming areas that have Petrov as their area, and we've had several people we know that are farming for these all the time.
So jump into the weeds for just a second. Explain the difference between multiplicative and additive.
Hmm. So when this game's calculating the amount of damage you're dishing out, or the amount of damage you're taking, there's different categories, right? So you have like weapon damage, all weapon damage. So that's like you have your, well, when you look at the gun, so if I go into this gun, so view stats. So it still looks the same. This should say PvP stats, and they should show the base damage. But anyway, what you're looking for is base damage on the weapon. So the gun has a base damage that it does. Then all of those multipliers add onto that base damage. So theoretically, let's say the base damage for G36 is like 66,000 damage, 66k. Each one of these 15%, it's not 15% and times 15% times 15%. It's add up all the 15% and multiply by that. Okay. So it's additive, right? So like, what do I got? I got 15, 15, 15, 45, 60, 75. So that 20, this 25 is variable, so it's not displayed in there. So 75. So that 97k represents base damage times 100 or 1.75. 1.75, right? Now, when we look at all my other stats, though, so there's the base damage, 66, 690. Critical hit chance. So if I score a critical hit, that's a multiplier by this critical hit damage. So now it would be 1.75. So whatever the base damage is, right? 66,000 times 1.75 times 40, 1.45, right?
Okay.
Now if I'm hitting a headshot, it's times again times 1.65, right? And now you got the armor damage times 1.11. Does that make sense? Like,
it does.
That's way stronger than just adding them all up. Now, some of these get added together, and I can't remember which ones it is. I think headshot damage might now go in with regular damage. They move them in and out as to whether they're additive, multiplicative, in order to keep the game balanced. But armor damage, health damage, damage out of cover are all multipliers, all the time. So you'll see that a lot of people, when they're putting pure damage builds together, are going to run these knees, the Fox's Prayer, because they have 15% damage out of cover, with the contractor's gloves, even if they're not running a rifle or an LMG, just because of those two attributes, because they're multiplicative. So even if I'm going to run around with an assault rifle, those two pieces are so strong because of the multipliers.
Gotcha. Okay. Cool.
Right.
That was in the weeds with Burt Reynolds. Okay, I like it.
In the weeds. Now, yes.
In the weeds, which I asked about, so that makes sense.
Even after a couple sips of beer, I can still explain multiplicative versus additive. So, GG for me.
GG, that was really the real test. I want to see how many beers in you were, so you can actually describe it. So there we go. Okay, thank you.
Not very far. The holster, just to get the assault rifle damage, I have a Fenris holster. That's it. That's the only reason why. I typically, because I still have not gotten a 15% weapon damage roll on knee pads, I almost always use that for my one armor piece. I don't have any pure 6 red stat builds. Another 15% weapon damage is not that much when it's additive, right? So a little bit more survivability to me seems strong. There are a ton of people who run in pure damage builds, all 6 stats rolled to red. God bless you guys. I can't run that way. I'm too careless and I'm too reckless, so I always run one blue. This is the slot I always pretty much roll it into, which is my knee pads. And
Well,
again, I'm
because
running another Badger
you get
Tough.
max armor off your knee pads right there. That's what you're rolling. So is that out of your
So
recal library?
I have my recal library. I have max armor roll for every piece,
Oh,
all 6 of them, and I have a max damage roll for 5 of the 6 in my recal library at this point. Everything but knee pads. I only have a 13 on knees. I don't have a 15 on knees yet. So yeah, that is why I roll the armor onto knees all the time.
nice. That makes sense.
When I am running skills, I'm running a revive hive. This game is hard right now, and I still spend a lot of time on the ground. And then I run a turret on this particular build. I could run whatever here. I could run CC. I can run whatever. When I'm running solo, I run a turret just because it's distracting, and I can create, pinch points or choke points, and that's why. But when we run as a group, if I run this build, then I usually switch over to like Riot Foam or Blinder Firefly, something to throw some CC out there. And that's the build, Negan. That armor on kill is nice. It just gives you a little extra healing, especially if you start rolling through red bars.
So you do find armor on kill is a bigger benefit nowadays than it used to be? Because for a while there, it didn't seem like almost everything I got, at least my perspective, it didn't seem to make a huge difference. So that was an immediate toss. If I got something armor on kill, was an immediate toss, just credits or recal or whatever like that. But you're finding his value now.
Armor on kill, you can get pretty good amounts of it now. Armor regeneration is still trash, but armor on kill is all right. I like it, especially if you can stack it like with Badger Tough. The Badger Tough has 10%. That's not a lot, but 10% of 800 is 80,000, 88,000 armor.
Yeah.
I mean, that's not bad, right? So if I kill a bunch of red bars, I get it for each one of them you kill. And then if you have blue slots that have mod slots on them, you can get 15,000. I have mods that are 15, 16,000 armor on kill. You stack a couple of those, not bad. It can be okay.
Makes sense. Okay. I see the strategy
The
behind
best? Is it the best? No. I mean, crit and crit damage are king in this game right now. Nothing beats crit and crit damage. Once you're at 60% crit, crit cap, stacking crit damage through your mods is the way to go. But this build's not built around that. This build is built around staying alive solo, having fun, farming the open world, taking down some level 3 or level 4 CPs, taking on some tough world content like the drone thing that flies around, because that gets really good loot.
Recon.
It's really built around that. It's not built around like when we go to play as a group, I usually put some other build on besides this. This is really, it's a fun, just like solo hanging out, farming some stuff by yourself build. So up here you're gonna see. Oh, I forgot to say what I'm running. I'm running Demolitionist with this one. You probably run whatever you want. But I am running Demolitionist. I usually kick, like, whatever encounter I kick off at this point, I kick off usually with grenades, because grenades seem to be in a really good spot right now. And you'll see, even on a low tier turret, ooh, now see, I got something hit me and procced my Unbreakable in one shot there.
Probably
Felt
the
like
boss over the
a
left, maybe
sniper rifle shot or something. Something nasty again. Something really nasty.
There you go. Well, you're a little squishy. You're running reds, so you're a little squishy.
Yeah, so that is gonna drop me. But that's why I have my revive hive.
Mm-hmm. That's why we're all.
I got so many lives, Negan. I can just keep coming back and coming back and coming back.
So your general strategy for this build is not necessarily run up and face tank, because we can't really face tank in this game because you get punished for it. But it's kind of
you can't. Mid range. I'm trying to engage in that spot where I get both crit chance and crit damage from the mask. like, because I can benefit from both, a little bit more crit chance and damage. So that's usually what I'm doing. I'm trying to get a little of both.
And again, explain the mask. It's the distance you are from something that depends on whether you get crit damage or crit chance.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yes,
So
sir. That is
the
what it
closer
is.
they are gives you chance, or the closer they are gives you damage.
The closer you are, it gives you damage.
Okay.
Mid range, it gives you both damage and chance, and further distance, it gives you all chance. So, like when we're running as a group, a lot of times I'll play a rifle build and I'll play back and just try and give everybody a constant 25% crit chance buff. When I'm playing by myself, I try and engage mid range so I get both a crit chance and crit damage buff.
Makes
Now, you
sense.
see there, I did get a like not quite god roll, but a really strong roll. Backpack. This is 511 backpack. It has 170,000 armor, max roll. Um, Decent skill damage roll. Has armor regeneration, which I could care less about, but it has unstoppable force on it. Do you have a 170 armor roll on your backpack yet, Negan, in your recal library?
I do not think so.
Mm. So,
So if that was to drop on the ground somewhere in your vicinity and need to be picked up by somebody, you know.
so in honor, and to finish up our show tonight, in honor of Negan Appreciation Week, um,
Thanks, buddy.
we are going to give Negan a really nice backpack there, and say thank you for all his hard work um, on
Ah,
on this, and let him know how much we appreciate him. And I think that's it. Next week we will probably take a look at a crit build, um, just so you can see that we apparently got all the hostages killed, Negan.
I know. Yeah, we kind of ignored the situation. That'll teach us.
Epic failure. I'm gonna take a look at it through my binoculars. Yep, it's bad. They're all dead.
Drink the sorrow
All
away.
dead. Anyway, so with that, I think we're gonna call it a night. But really appreciate you tuning in, and as always, Negan, the Golden Voice of Gaming, thank you, and thank you for all your hard work.
But before we do the sign off, we
Oh,
have to tell
what do you think of
people
your beer?
what do you think of your
Yep.
beer. So we got to do that real fast. So I like mine. It definitely has a
Do you?
citrus as described. It has not as much pine needles as I expected, but it does
I
have
bet you're
an.
disappointed. But you can go
Yeah,
outside, man, and get some pine needles and just put them in there.
that's right.
That
I could do
works.
just grind them up, get some rosemary or something like that, add it to it.
You don't need to
But
grind
it
them up.
is
Just put them in there,
just throw
man.
them right
Just
there.
go.
Let them steep in my beer. There you go.
Were
So
you
so
the
it was
one who drinks? What was that thing you used to drink? Shrubs, where you put like herbs in your drink and stuff. Like that was
it's
you,
called
right?
it's yes, they're called shrubs. It's basically yeah, it's
Uh,
you'd get like a fruit of some sort. You soak it in sugar and vinegar and stuff like that, and it extracts the flavor out of it, and then you put it in there. But yes, and some bars here in the Bay Area, all hipster and artisanal, they have the drinks where you can go get the sprig of rosemary in it and stuff like that. So yes, occasionally I do have a
okay.
cocktail like that as also. So it's not that far off, but it's rosemary. It's not pine needles. I don't stoop to pine needles, my friend. It's just fancy rosemary.
Mm.
So,
Mm-hmm.
but the beer is probably
Mm-hmm.
about a 6 because it does have the pine needle taste to it. So it's probably a 6. I don't know if I drink it again necessarily if I put it in my rotation, but it's not bad. If it was offered to me, I wouldn't necessarily turn it down. I
You
wouldn't
wouldn't
turn my
say no.
nose at it. I wouldn't say no. And how about yours? How did the mango and cinnamon
Cinnamon?
work?
You know, it's not bad, man. This is very drinkable beer. I think this would be delicious in July.
You
It's
said that
still
about the
cold
last
here.
hazy IPA too.
Yeah, I know.
That
Yeah,
they both be good in hot weather.
hot weather. Yeah, it's okay. I'm gonna give this one a 7.
All right.
It's 7. It's like the second best hazy IPA I've ever had, but it's still a
All
hazy
right.
IPA.
So
So
you
next week
so
we'll
so the
find
24
another
pack
hazy
will be
IPA.
consumed.
Oh, eventually. I'll
There you
find
go.
a much smaller quantity of a different hazy IPA next week to continue the month of torture that I'm on, where I'm subjecting myself to a bunch of beers I don't like. Um,
There you go.
but that's healthy. That's healthy. You know, again, I don't drink a lot, so I don't want to have something I like too much, right?
Hmm.
I don't need that. Then I'd be tempted to have more. I gotta stay in shape and keep healthy, and and all of that. So, but yeah, it's okay, man. 7. I'll call it 7. It's more than not bad.
I
Remember
was
the
gonna
beer
say
that was
more than not bad.
bad? It's more than not bad. Yeah.
Nice. All right. Well, there we go.
Yeah.
All right. So we did our beer review. We did that. You did talk about your build, LMG, our assault rifle build, and
We killed
based
some
off
stuff.
killed some stuff. That's right. I think we've done it all tonight.
We've covered it all. We have covered it all. And yeah. So next week, crit build. I'll show you crit build. And one of these weeks, in honor of Negan Appreciation Week, gave him the week off. But one of these weeks, Negan has to show us one of his builds. We still haven't done that in a while, so we need to do that.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I didn't hear you there. What was it? No.
Yes.
Absolutely.
You just need to answer yes. That's all you need to do. You just need
yes.
to answer yes, Negan.
Yes,
Yes,
for sure.
Yes,
Absolutely.
for sure.
Yes.
Right. Yep. And as always, Negan's going to sign us off for the night. So, yeah, so I'll see you later, and Negan will say...
All right. See ya.